to this day does not remember the wedding. About 5 years into the wedding, she decided what we need to do is have a kid, so now we're three, that's what we need to do. So they had a kid, and he kept getting into trouble. Finally, they got sick of seeing him in Cecil County, they put him out in Hagerstown for 17 years. In the meantime, the little kid had burnt down, so she couldn't go back there to get the next one, so she went to George's out here on Route 40, which is no longer there either, and got the next one. Now, she doesn't understand why he keeps using. The daughter is now 29 years old. She's a full-blown heroin addict, and she's overdosed at least 3 times. I don't even know if she's still alive. She doesn't understand why the daughter keeps doing this. She doesn't understand why he keeps doing it. She weighs 355 pounds. Guess what her addiction is? Cheese. Doesn't understand it. I had another friend that he passed away during COVID, but he weighed well over 400 pounds. And he never understood. The guys down here, after they get into the house and do this, said, why in the hell would they go back out? I said, well, you dieted all week, and then you went to McDonald's and had 4 Big Macs to celebrate. Why'd you do that? Well, that's different. No, it's not, I said, you went to spring training. I said, you went down on the auto train, took the car. I said, I don't know what seat you were in, but I know it was right outside of the dining car. That's where your seat was. I said, I don't know what hotel you stayed in, but I know they had a buffet breakfast and a buffet dinner. I said, and let me tell you what you told me about the Orioles' new stadium. You said you should see their new field. You could, quote, eat off of it. I said, every single thing you told me about your trip to spring training had food in it. And he gets pissed off at you, but did you exercise today? Yes. What did you do? I walked around the swimming pool. Well, it's great. How many times? Once. Oh, I said, if you lost 200 pounds, you'd still be 200 pounds overweight. I mean, it's just, we talked about liposuction, we talked about, having gas, but he would have never stuck to the diet. He would have just come back, so. Anyway, do you tend to lock yourself into a course of action even if it appears it will not turn out as you planned? That's called the United States government. What was Churchill? Even though the war is wrong, we are in it. There you go. Anyway, do you feel that you spend a lot of time cleaning up problems created by others? I think that's the last. Yeah, that's the last one. Anyway, that's the 20 questions for adult children of alcoholics. If you have 1 or 2 of them, it's not unusual. If you have 4 or 5 of them, you probably had something going on in the family that was just not functioning right. I had a lot of them, and neither one of my parents drank. But it was in the family. Aunts, uncles, and this, that, So it still affected us. I gave you this thing, which again, Michael pointed out that the costs are not exactly right, but but it's just, you think that this doesn't affect your family. Go down here and add this stuff up, and you're gonna find out that you've spent a trip to Disney World on your DUI real quick. I always tell people, you get out from underneath the first one for $4,000 or less, you're doing good. It's expensive. What did you pay for your attorney? What are you paying for here? If you had to put the interlock in the car, how much is that a month and how long do you have to have it in there? Is your insurance going to go up? Because if it does, it's 7 years, or they're going to bump you out of that into higher risk insurance, which costs more. Did you lose any time from work over this? What's your fees, your court costs, and your fines going to be? If you're on probation, there's a cost to be on probation. If you go to jail, guess what? It ain't free, you pay. Did you know that? If you're in work release, you pay. It's based on your income, and you pay up front, or you don't go to work. So they'll look at how much you work a day, or how much you work a week. They'll figure that out, and for how long you're going to be in jail, and you owe them $600 if you want to go to work. So everybody thinks, well, I'll just go do this or that. You think it through. if your license are revoked, how are you gonna get around? What's that gonna cost you? What's the reinstatement process? How much is that gonna cost? Do you know where you're involved in? It's just, these things get really expensive, and that's on the first one. And get a second one. I always tell people, we had a guy here from Delaware, it was a girl from Delaware, it was her third one in Delaware. Her fine alone was $10,000, just the fine, before we did anything else. So these are not cheap. So court costs, bail, your interlock system. Hearing with motor vehicles, it's $150, I think, now to hold the hearing. I always tell people, talk to your attorney before you spend that money, because if there's no chance of you winning that hearing, don't spend the money, because you ain't gonna get it back. If you win the hearing, you will. They'll return you the money. Car insurance, if you're convicted of a DUI in Maryland, you have to report it to your insurance company. If you get a PBJ, it depends on your insurance company. The piece of advice I give everybody, you didn't know that. You were ignorant of it. Just don't say anything. If they don't bring it up, you don't bring it up. They never found out about mine. I didn't know you were supposed to report it, so. Your legal fees. Most attorneys, anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 is what you're gonna pay. If you got one for $1,500 or less, you're you're lucky, because most of them now are at least $2,500, you know. So it ain't cheap, anyway. That, I just brought that in, you know, this affects the family in some way or another. I mean, if we took $4,000 out of your bank account, would that affect your family? And that's what you're doing. All right. We'll get out of here early tonight, promise you. Does anybody have rides and pick them up? Or is everybody driving? Nobody, okay, because we'll be done probably around 8 o'clock tonight. I don't think it'll be any longer than that. Unless you all start asking questions. And from the dead silence so far, I don't think that's gonna happen. The last legal execution in Cecil County occurred at 9:05 a.m. or 9:53 a.m. in 1905 up at, right on North Street there where the old jail used to be. It's now part of the senior housing out there. We used to actually teach the class there. The dining room where we taught was the old dining room for the jail. And right outside the door is where the gallery was. Judge DeWitt used to have a picture of it over his desk, this big picture of the guy standing there with the hood over his, he's real. It was nice when you walk in his office and so on. Do they have a 4th of July in England?
I think so.
4th of July, the 5th of July, the 6th of July. How many birthdays does the average man have? He only has one birthday. Celebrate. He only has one birthday. Some months have 31 days. How many have 28? All of them. You got it? How many outs are in an inning?
Till the game's over.
How many outs are in an inning?
Right.
6. Who said 7?
Oh.
That might be one of the new rules. I don't know what the new rules are this next year. That's the other dumb one. That damn one to put somebody on second base in overtime. That's the stupidest damn thing. Anyway, is it legal for a man in California to marry his widow's sister?
No.
Why not?
I have no idea. I'm just assuming it's no.
Huh?
I have no idea. I'm just assuming it's no.
It's his widow's sister. He's dead.
Oh.
But you're right, it's not legal. A farmer has 17 sheep, all but 9 died. How many are left? 9. How many animals of each, how many of each animal did Moses take on the ark?
2.
Anybody disagree with that? You're both wrong. Moses didn't have a damn thing to do with it.
Hey, he split the sea.
Noah was the one that built the ark. Moses threw down the
Oh,
tablet.
shit.
He brought down the town, he said, I got good news and bad news.
Yeah.
The good news is I got him down to 10. The bad news is adultery's still on it. That was another Father Martin joke. I don't take credit for these. He told the story, he said there was a little boy who wanted a bicycle for Christmas. And he started working on his parents early in the year. And it got to December, and he just, he was just a rotten little kid, always getting in trouble. And he thought, there's no point talking to Santa Claus, this ain't gonna happen. So he said, I'm gonna go right to the top. So he got a sheet of paper out in his room, and he said, Dear Jesus, says, if I'm good for a whole year, will you bring me a bicycle? And he looked at it and thought, there's no way I'll be good for a year. So he threw that piece of paper, got another one, and says, Dear Jesus, if I'm good for a month, will you, and he stopped, he thought, I'll never make it for a month. He threw that one, he got another sheet of paper. He said, Dear Jesus, if I'm good for a whole day, will you bring me a bicycle? And he was just depressed, because he thought, I'll screw up in the first 2 hours. And then he got this great idea, he went down to the living room where they had the little manger scene set up, and he grabbed the Virgin Mary out of the manger, and he took her back up to his room, and he wrapped her up in a towel, put her in a box, and shoved her way back in the closet, piled some blankets on top. Then he came back, he got another sheet of paper out, and said, Dear Jesus, if you ever want to see your mother that was Father Martin. Let's see. Where are we at here? How many 2-cent stamps are in a dozen?
6.
12. 12 stamps in a dozen. It don't make a difference what denomination is. Alright. Johnny's mother has 3 children. The first child's name is April, the second child's name is May. What's the third child's name? Johnny, very good. There's a clerk at a butcher shop. He is 5 feet 10 inches tall and he wears size 13 sneakers. What does he weigh? Meat. Before Mount Everest was discovered, what was the highest mountain in the world? Mount Everest. It hadn't been discovered. It's still the highest mountain. How much dirt is in a hole that measures 5 feet by 2 feet by 3 feet? None. What word in the English language is always spelled incorrectly? Incorrect. In California, you can't take a picture of a man with a wooden leg. Why not? Can't take a picture with a wooden leg. You need a camera. What was the president's name in 1975? That's the easiest one on here. Who's the president right now? Biden. What was his name in 1975? I didn't say who was the president. I said what was his name. I've been doing this for years. There's a TV show now making a fortune off of this, and I didn't get any royalties. You're running a race and you pass the person in second place. What place are you in? Second. You're running the same race and you pass the person in last place. What place are you in now? How did you pass the person in last place? All right. Caffeine can be poison. True or false? You have to take enough of it. Stopping cigarette smoking lessens the likelihood of lung cancer.
False.
That's true.
True.
If you have kids at home and you're a smoker, 3 cigarette butts to a toddler, like a 2 or 3-year-old, will put them in the hospital if they're chewing on it. The nicotine is nasty. It's pesticide is what it is.
Isn't that what they use for plants?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great way to kill somebody. It's hard to trace it, That icicle, you can stab them with that icicle. So old Alfred Hitchcock had a show where the lady beat her husband to death with a frozen leg of lamb and then cooked it and invited the sheriff over and they ate the murder weapon and they could never find the murder weapon. Anyway. Excessive use of sugar has no effect on the brain. All, if you cut back on sugar, it doesn't affect your brain. Look at the top of 3 o'clock in the morning, eating donuts, right? You're good to do. Going on the wagon is necessary to the rehabilitation of an alcoholic. In other words, if you're going to get an alcoholic well, you at least have to get them to stop drinking first.
True.
True. But going on the wagon is an interesting term. They use it a lot. I'm on the wagon. I'm back on the wagon. The term on the wagon came from France, when they used to take people into the middle of the town to have them beheaded in a guillotine. They would let them get off of the wagon to have one last drink, but then they had to get back on the wagon. So if you're back on the wagon, it doesn't necessarily mean life will be rosy. Normally when we quit using, we quit doing stupid stuff, we kind of get better. That is one thing I can say, if you're drinking is causing problems and you keep at it, it's not gonna get better, it'll get worse. I just had a guy, you're not gonna be able to see this. He had 3.5 years, well, he would have 4 years in January. This was last month. He decided he was depressed, so he was gonna drink again. There's his car.
Where is he?
He's down in Hacks Point with 5 broken ribs, and so I call him every day and make him laugh. It's painful. And even Delaware, Maryland license Delaware, this is number 7. Number 7. I don't wanna go to jail. Do you think I'll go to jail? I don't think you will. I know you will. This is 7 of them. Anyway. Where were we? Oh, okay. To reach a given level of anesthesia, an alcoholic patient will require higher doses of general anesthetics than a non-alcoholic patient. That's true. Individuals who have traveling jobs become alcoholic more often than those who have jobs that allow them to live at home. Oh, that's true also. Does anybody know which traveling job has the highest rate of alcoholism?
Tractor trailer driver?
Nah, they're on
Pilot.
speed. They're popping speed.
Pilot?
Pilots, airplane pilots, yeah. They have a hell of a, they want airplane pilots to get back in the cockpit, but they want them to be safe when they do it. They have a treatment program that would knock your socks off, but it's, I've got 2 pilots right now. One just finished up, it just got back into the cockpit about a month ago. It's been 5.5 years. And he flies for American Airlines. The other one just retired. He said, I'm not going through this again. It was his second one in 2 years, second DWI. But he doesn't have a drinking problem. Little .21. He's lost his career, but it's not a problem. Okay. Good luck. I also have a steward. They don't get the same program that the pilots do. It's called HIMS, HIMS is the name for it. Because they don't want, the drone pilot program. That doesn't look good. People get all upset about that. But it's some truck drivers too. If you're a DOT truck driver, you're going to be at least 2 years before you're back in the truck. It's pretty intense now. They've gotten pretty strict with that stuff. Withdrawal from barbiturates is more dangerous than withdrawal from narcotics. In other words, withdrawal from Valium is more dangerous than withdrawal from heroin. What do you think?
That's so false.
True or false? It's true. What's more dangerous, withdrawal from alcohol or withdrawal from heroin? Alcohol. If you have a chemical in your brain called GABA, and it's a name this long, I can never pronounce that. Just take my word, GABA, GABA. It's an excitatory chemical. Alcohol affects that. So does barbiturates. And if you just stop taking them, it can trigger that and throw you into a seizure and shut down